Welcome back to a normal week of sketching. This is day 6. We're almost there. Once again, starting with our free sketching. This day I think I was trying to construct a little bit better and also be loose. So I was thinking, but also trying to let my hand kind of do its thing and run through its normal shortcuts to a degree. This was my first one. It's kind of a weird pose, but the day before I had been trying to draw the bodies with the boxes and things on the side, and I ended up making them too long, so I thought I'd give it a try just to start. Then you could see with that one, I started with more of a shape that connected both the upper body and lower body. Feeling it out, I did make that one a little bit long. A lot of bit long. But that was okay. I just noted it and went to the next one. I was trying to be a little bit less timid and just go in and think about whatever pose and then see what I could do with it. Sometimes if I do that, I feel like when I go to do something that I'm not 100% confident in, I'm not as nervous to make the pose. I will get this feeling like even if I have to go over it a few times, redraw it a bunch or whatever, I know I can get a result at the end that I'm decently okay with. Whereas if I don't and I'm constantly nervous, I will not try to do new poses, more creative poses, because I'm too scared. Because I don't really, no one does, but I definitely don't like to fail. And I don't like to fail where people can see. It makes me very embarrassed, and it's something I'm working on. You can see as I draw, my poses get like small, and it's not just to do with the size of the paper. I try to get myself to draw smaller to begin with when I do this for myself, because I feel like I can get through more poses and think more carefully and build up my confidence as I'm drawing before moving on to the bigger poses that are going to take a lot more effort, and a lot more thought, because you have to put in more of the detail to make them readable. And if I start small, then I get that readability first, which is what I want, so that whenever I move on to a bigger pose, especially if I'm using the smaller one as a thumbnail, it just turns out more clear, more obvious, and I'm not fighting as much trying to get the details to say what the silhouette should have said on its own. So that's why I try to do that. But whenever I was doing these, I kept finding that I was drawing way too big to begin with. So a note to me is it's okay to be bold, but start small and then slowly build on that so that they turn out a little bit better. But it is weird. Whenever I was doing the first day, I was panicking, thinking, how am I going to do this? How am I going to do this? And I said out loud, oh yeah, there's my cup of coffee. I said out loud that I don't even know how to start. And my sister was like, how do you usually start? And I'm like, oh, I just, start with free sketching and then I do studies. And she's like, then do that. It's supposed to be a normal week. And that kind of put everything in perspective for me. Yeah, I'm like, oh yeah, obviously I should just do what I usually do. That's what it's all about. So yeah, thanks to her for trying to keep me grounded and deal with things. I swear. But yeah, as I was going, my shapes were getting a little bit better. and I try to take what I was doing here and move them to my figures. That's what I really try to do most of the time. And I'm not going to say that it always works out because, spoiler alert, it does not. But yeah, it does help if you do stuff like this first, I find, for me, and then go to drawing from a picture. As I've said before, it just helps. It just gets my brain going. When this is the first thing that I'm drawing in the morning, the first things that I'm seeing in the morning, I'm just getting my hand going. I'm just making my brain function. Yeah. It just takes a lot. If you hear some creaking and stuff, that's because I will not be still in my chair. And I have a really creaky arm on one side. So here, going into the figure studies, maybe you'll be able to see what I mean. Where I'm trying to construct, and then I'm also trying to get some movement in. When I was first starting out with anatomy, my poses were really stiff, and I still think that I draw very stiff poses. They don't have a lot of, I don't know, they don't feel alive sometimes, which is really irritating for someone who eventually would like to improve their comic art. So yeah, I do think that focusing a little bit more on the stickmen and putting shapes to them and practice like this does help and has helped me, because if you have ever seen my old art, if you followed me for a while, it's really, really rigid. Really, really rigid. It used to really bother me quite a bit. So I practiced like crazy doing gestures and things. That was actually when my figure my figure drawing really started picking up. And then I thought it was just supposed to kind of copy what was going on, and I found out later on that's really not how you're supposed to do it. So then I adapted my practice, and then I started using it for different things. And I'm not perfect at it, but I do think that helps me improve a lot faster than what I was doing before, needless to say. This pose is wild, and I can't tell. I'd have to look at the scan at the end, but I can't tell if his leg is really short on one side when I finish. It's the one on the right, if I remember correctly, because the one on the left is up. I don't know, it looks really short on camera, and I know that my board is tilted. You can see that, so it'll change how things look to some degree whenever it's flat. But it just looks like I drew the lower leg and stuff really short. But I liked this pose. It looked really cool. It was like a stacked pose, which for me just means that I could see each individual part of the body and how it overlapped very, very clearly. That's something that I look at whenever I'm trying to draw animals at the zoo, is the like very obvious overlapping parts. Yeah, his leg just has to be short, right? It looks so short. Anyway, if you hear my brother shouting in the background, he's recording for his own channel. And I can't close my door because our dog decided his nose needed to be right in the crack of the door. So I'm not going to mush his nose or make him move. Yeah, this one was interesting. It was twisted, and for some reason I couldn't get my mind fully around what it was doing, even though I'm looking at it now and I can see what I could have done better and what I was trying to do. It's just not, it's not there. I really like this pen, this big pen, the blue one. I have a couple others. They came in a set. I think one's yellow or pink or green or I don't know, and then one's purple. I really like them. Very smooth, the blue one obviously being my favorite. Not the phone. This one, I think someone was standing. They had a phone in their hand. They were wearing this oversized jacket. I really liked the look of the oversized jacket in comparison to how their legs looked coming out of the bottom. You know when people wear those really, really big, like bomber jackets, the really huge ones? And then they have really small legs, or at least very straight jeans. Yeah. And their shoes are sleek. I don't know how to explain it, but they are very close to their feet and stuff. They don't have a big shape like big boots. I find those shapes really interesting to kind of group together underneath a giant jacket. I think it's really funny when you can get a giant jacket, something that makes the legs look very thin in comparison, and then giant boots or something. It just, I don't know, the balance, that big, small, big balance looks really nice. I was just talking about, I think in the third video, but I could be wrong, about that elder gentleman that I drew. And this was the old lady I was talking about that's feeding the birds. I like this pose that I'm drawing right here. I was drawing this very soft body. She had such, like, I don't know, she had such nice proportions, and she was just so soft, and the way that she was standing was really smooth. I don't know how to explain it exactly, but the rhythm was so nice to look at. So I wanted to draw her. And I liked the shape of the bra. I didn't get her head right. You could see it's very skewed. Yeah, some of them I was drawing kind of out of frame. Ugh, so terrible. I really need to get into the habit of checking my little viewfinder guy more often. When I do this, I try to get a decent balance between drawing men and drawing women. It's kind of difficult because a lot of places have a lot of female poses and not a lot of male poses. And I definitely prefer to draw men. I really like their shapes. But you run into just a lot of female poses. A lot. Every single time someone comes out with a new pose pack or they add more to their site or whatever, it's almost always more female poses. And I don't want just female poses. I want male poses too. And it's kind of a shame because you'll get these really dynamic female poses, and then whenever you go to the male poses, there's so few of them, first off. And then they're either really, really dynamic, but there's not very many of them. Or, I don't know, they're just hard to find. It's just hard to find sometimes. Like, I'll see a lot of casual female poses, which is good, but I don't see a lot of casual male poses. So I end up just kind of searching those out, or I watch videos where you can see people in the background, just like extras or whatever, and I'll just draw them instead because I just can't always find really good ones. Quick Poses has some. There's this one guy, he's got fluffy hair, and he does like crazy parkour looking stuff and cool poses, and he does some like twisty ones where he looks like he's in a straight jacket, stuff like that. I really like those poses. They're very interesting. They've got a lot of what's it called, foreshortening, and they're really good for practicing the shapes. And then he's usually barefoot, so then you can practice drawing the shape of the foot and the shape of the hand and all that fun stuff. So yep, I like those ones. And I have a couple by, I think, Studio Graffiti. While they were having a sale, I got a couple mail packs. Here's the shells again. It's so nice because the next day we will be finished with the shells and you can see what I did. I did a little background for them too, and it makes me laugh because obviously these took so much time. I don't even want to add up how much it is. Please don't add it up. Please don't write it down. Please don't put it anywhere. I don't want to see it. It'll just make me feel worse about how long it took. But yeah, the background took me like 22 minutes. So yeah, so sad. So sad. But I'm glad to be finished with it. I need to start another one, but I had to do all of the editing for these, and they were supposed to be just one video, and they weren't, and we all know this story. This shell gave me problems. I remember I went and sat in the pantry. That probably sounds weird, but we have a bean bucket and a flour bucket in there. And I usually sit on the flour bucket because it's slightly dark in there, and I guess no one can really see you unless they walk all the way into the kitchen. So I'll just sit inside the pantry on the flour bucket with my iPad. And I was listening to one of the Sandman audiobooks because I like audiobooks. And I was just painting on this sucker for so long. I just wanted to doodle. I got sick of doing shells. We were watching Avatar: The Last Airbender with my mom and dad because they've never seen all of it. And so we were all clustered in there, and I was working on the shells for a long time. I didn't want to anymore, so I switched to just doodling. So I was drawing the character I was recently talking about that gets taken to live with the mean lord. And yeah, this is when he's walking behind the horse when they're taking him, because the people that get taken, they don't get to ride, they have to walk the whole way. And he's talking to the riders, who are actually decent guys. I just want to draw that out because of how I was imagining it. There's actually a scene that happens right after these ones that I draw, and I really wanted to draw it that night, and I really needed to finish some other things up. Which is funny because I still ended up doing other things. These things. So with these, I did some really quick under sketches and did a thicker line art than I usually do because I was practicing painting, and my idea was that I was going to see how quickly I could do it so I could tell how much I could charge, which was hopefully not a lot of money for a sketch and color and things like that, for just like small commissions, maybe on my Ko-fi, just for anyone who's interested. But I don't know if I'm gonna go through with that. Not because I don't want to make the things, but I usually put a lot of effort into making these sheets. Then I don't really get commissions, so I don't know why I do it every time. But it was good practice for painting, which I wanted to do anyways. I drew this guy later in my sketchbook. Not the same day, obviously. I think April 1st I drew this guy in my sketchbook. And that X is so crooked, but it was just a practice sketch, so I was like, eh. But these ones didn't take me very long, which is kind of what I wanted. I need to paint faster and simplify each step. And the thing that made me really happy was the texture that I was able to get in there and keep in there through the entire, I guess, process. I like going over the top. And then I was like, does it work with objects? Because can I use this for backgrounds? So then I drew a lamp. Of all things. Gotta get this lamp looking fancy. So yeah, I don't really know if it was any good, but I kind of liked the results. So here are all the finished pictures. Thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it. I hope you enjoyed. Have a good day or night, and bye.